governor has it. Okay, I am going to raise collective slightly and drop to 97. Raising slightly. Drop to 97.
There we go, good.
Okay. And back down. Alright, check's complete.
Okay.
Alright.
Two-stage pickup.
Yep.
Eventually go that way. Very nice. 22 inches. I do a quick hover check. 22 inches is taking you. So that's in line with your MCP and all that. That's fine. Okay. Why don't you follow this yellow line? It'll be a little easier. See those cones. So I would, again, probably be a little further left here. Great job.
And the road says 35 Golf, running left on my base leg for runway.
I'll tell you what we're going to do. We're going to go over there. We'll make a right turn on this taxiway. We're going to play around with runway 20 there.
Okay.
Don't worry about the radio calls. Just worry about hovering here, and then we'll talk about a few things when we're here at the runway. Great job.
Taking this taxiway.
Turning left. This is the 35 Golf, turning left on my final runway 3.
So you're still slightly right of this line. A little bit better. Traffic, I'll look after 522 Alpha Golf. We'll be on the departure end of 20 Emirates. You could cross this line, go that way.
Okay.
We'll do a normal takeoff. You remember how to do a normal takeoff?
Yep.
Alright, let's do a normal takeoff.
Okay.
Facing that way. Emirates traffic, I'll look after 522 Alpha Golf, taking off departure end of 20 for left close, Emirates. There we go. Looking at 40 knots. And if you'll notice, taking you about 21 inches to do this whole thing. A little bit of right pedal now. There we go. Speed smooth in your controls. Try not to be a robot. Nice and smooth. No tension in your muscles.
I'll be honest, for some reason, the first like 5 minutes of the flight.
Yep, I've noticed it.
I shake like a leaf. I don't know.
Noticed it. Don't worry about it. You're not alone. Some people do that too. And other. Good. All right.
You're doing a right pattern?
Take that left turn.
Left turn.
So in general, when you're doing your normal takeoff, you're looking for basically an inch under your MCP. So your MCP was about 23. We'll just round it. Go that way. Square it up.
Shit, yeah.
So in general, you're aiming for about 22 inches. Like even during this takeoff, 22 inches. So that's the reason we're not climbing anymore. It's because our collective is a little low. Alright, why don't we make that left turn?
Left turn.
And raise traffic, helicopter 522 off Gulf, left downwind, 20, hand roads. Now start pushing that forward. A little bit of right pedal.
Cessna 35, Hampton Road, Cessna 35 Golf, turning left on my downwind for runway 28, Hampton Road.
A little bit of right pedal, push this forward.
Traffic helicopter, Pacific Bravo, north of the airport, our main here, wow.
This is really good. 70 knots, 700 feet. You're doing everything well. So we're gonna do a normal landing. We'll land basically at those stripe lines right before the number 20.
Okay.
See that?
Yep.
So when you're beam your spot, start lowering that collective. Don't pull back on that cyclic necessarily because I don't necessarily want to climb. Yeah, about this descent rate's fine. It doesn't have to be drastic. 65 knots is actually pretty okay. Somewhere around, yeah, maybe about 600-ish feet. We'll make that left turn for base. And road traffic, helicopter 522 Alpha Golf, left base 20, hand roads. Try not to pull back on that cyclic for that turn. Square it off, aim for that antenna. Good, keep that descent going, that's good. We're looking for about 300 to 500 feet per minute descent rate, that's fine.
In the road, Cessna 35 Golf, turning base leg for runway 28.
And raise traffic, helicopter 522 Alpha Golf, final 20, landing and holding short of 28, and roads. Alright, so pull that back, you're way fast. Now you're aiming, this is the normal approach angle for where you want to land. Keep that same angle, continuously slow us down, but don't climb up and don't really make a different angle.
Coming into my final on runway 28, Hampton Road.
Pull it back, there we go, good.
Hampton Road, helicopter 72 Bravo has a Cessna on final, be holding short runway 28 on Delta Taxiway, Hampton Road.
There we go, calm, stay calm, loosen up your arm. Perfect. Perfect. Okay. Doing well. Imagine a brisk walking pace at this point. You should be pretty slow. There we go. We're gonna terminate at a hover. Perfect. Perfect. You notice you're pulling about 22 inches. So tell you what, that was all great. I've got the controls.
Yeah, the controls.
Didn't do anything wrong. I just want to demonstrate my next thing. So I'm going to demonstrate a running takeoff. The idea of this is, you already demonstrated when we do that normal takeoff, it took us about 22 inches, right, to kind of do it. Really 21 inches is where you probably should have, or 22 inches is where you should have been, but we'll probably dip down to 21. But anyway, we're going to demonstrate like what would happen if we were, say, on Mount Everest and we wanted to take off. I can't hover, so we're going to basically do our, kind of simulate this by pretending I'm not going to pull more than, let's just say 20, 21 inches. Okay. Based off how you took off, I shouldn't be able to take off, right? Or at least not a normal hover, or even we noticed like it took us 22 inches to hover over there. If I can't pull the 22 inches, how am I gonna get off the ground? And road traffic, helicopter 522 Alpha Golf taking off 20. Left close, hand roads. So it's kind of scraping along. I already broke 22, so let me bring it back down. Alright, 20 inches. There we go, 20 inches. I'm not going to pull more than that. I should start slowly going until I'm gone. We're going to demonstrate that again over on the other side. Okay. I'm going to have you do that. No, it'll be a little practice.
So you're just above.
So, well, look at this. So just flying this, it only takes like 15, 16 inches.
Okay.
So it's a low power setting. I don't need to do any whole heck of a lot. And even here, this is like a running landing. Like, you already saw why I don't like doing that, because I was trying to slow down, but it's like, oh, I can't pull back on that cycling much because I don't want my tail to hit the ground. Alright, so you've got the controls. That guy's on that one. We'll be gone by the time we get there. I'm going to be with you on the controls. So the idea here is we'll lift that collective to about 19 to 20 inches. We're going to probably hold to the right just a little bit, that cyclic. That way we don't go in the grass. Good. Okay. Alright, now just let it kind of drift forward a little bit. We're not going to pull up on the collective much more than this. I can pull back on that. There we go. Hold to the, there we go. Now just hold this for a little bit. Keep going forward.
Traffic helicopter.
And there we go. Alright, go to a normal kind of takeoff. A little bit of rate pedal, raise that collective, hold that collective where it's at. Now we're pulling back because we're clearing trees. It doesn't, trees don't care what kind of angle you want. You're gonna physically do the angle that you need. Alright, good. Hold this. Okay. Looking for about, yeah, this airspeed's fine. Now we're going to continue climbing. Alright, now we're going to do a shallow approach to a running landing. We'll go in the pattern. Everything should be exactly the same as your last one. We're going to
Your left turn.
left turn. En route, traffic helicopter 522 Alpha Golf, left crosswind 20 en route. I'm helping you out because you kind of pulled too much and you didn't really burn out. No, aim it that way. So you're trying to be squared off like a rectangle. One of the reasons you're kind of pointed, you need to be pointed that way is because the wind's kind of pushing that way. So wait till that airplane kind of disappears. Hold that collective in. Kind of let it go. There we go. Hold that at 21. That way you got that climb level. Alright. See that airplane? We'll kind of come in behind him. Go ahead and make that left turn. Now? Yeah, you look. Okay. You see, you're pulling back in these turns. Don't do that. Look at that horizon.
604 Tango is on a 6 mile final on the RNAV runway 28. Yes, sir.
En route, traffic helicopter 522 Alpha Golf, left downwind 20 en route. Alright, so this kind of got away from us again. All your references are outside. There we go. Start raising your collective. Push us forward. We'll just use those, the water towers as that seems roughly parallel this runway. Good. Raise that collective a little bit.
Android traffic helicopter 387 Bravo taking off runway 20 from parallel taxiway.
Alright.
Enter for a left close pattern.
You ready for left, or what do you call it? Shallow approach to a running landing. Start lowering the collective. It's the same here as you would a normal approach. You gotta lower the collective when you're beam the spot. Brake pedal at the same time. Look at that horizon now. There we go, better. Go ahead, make that left turn. Base that way a little bit. This is your base. En route, traffic helicopter 522 Alpha Golf, left base 20 en route.
And throw a traffic helicopter 7 Bravo left down runway 20.
I've demonstrated this before, right?
Running landing?
Yeah.
No.
Alright.
Helicopter, do you have 35 Golf in sight?
Approach traffic, helicopter 522 off Golf. Final 20, will be a short delay on 20, and holding short of 28, and roads. I've got the controls.
You have the controls.
Straight in on M28. Head road.
Alright, so shallow pressure running landing. I'm aiming for the, let's just aim for the 20 for right now. If you'll notice, I'm lowering the collective because I want to descend. That spot on the windscreen's shallower than our normal approach, right? My normal approach should be a little higher than this.
Pacific Road, turning left base, runway 20 into road. The Alpha Golf in sight.
Okay, we're doing a shallow pressure running landing, so it'll be a short delay on the approach on a 20, South Golf.
Roger that, Big Bravo.
Alright, so again here, probably still a little fast, so I want to bleed it off before I get too low.
I think it was a 1.5 mile final on RNF runway 28. We're going to be a little approach home.
I'm just staying in ground effect, then I'm going to level the helicopter, lowering that collector, using my pedals to steer, keep my nose because...
Helicopter Pacific Road, final. Runway runway 20 will be landing on the very near approach end into roads.
So, because of the fact that, these skids are like skis, you need to steer with your feet to make sure my skis are straight. Because if my skis are like that, I'm going to flip over. So, steer with that. You're also, this works just like when you were...
604 Tango on the go, off 28, hit road.
Road, this is 35 Golf coming in space, 28.
Hey Jeff, you still see us on the numbers of 20, right? We'll be here for a minute.
Roger's number 20, landing there right now.
Oh, yeah, I was kind of asking you to land on the taxiway. Alright.
Absolutely.
Alright, so kind of what I was saying.
Yeah, I'll clear the runway for you.
Roger, thanks. Alright, what was I saying? Oh yeah, steer with your feet. This still works just like when you're in the air. It's your position over the ground, so if we're sliding that way, like, well, bring it to the left, bring it that way. Don't do a whole lot of movements with back cycling, because you don't want your tail rotor to be chopped off. I wouldn't even be putting too much forward pressure, because that's just going to make you go faster and do all that. This is really what's slowing you down. It's the friction with the ground, so once we're on the ground, you want to lower that collective all the way. The other thing is, I didn't verbalize it, but when you level this helicopter, you think it's level, but it actually, you need to push it forward a little more, because that's the way the skids are. So when I say level, I'm probably going to tell you to level it some more. So whatever you think is level, push it forward a little tiny bit more in order for those skids to land at the same time, rather than like tail of the skid first or whatever. You kind of want it to land, like skis. You don't want the back of the skis to hit on the ground first. You want the skis completely parallel with the ground and go bloop.
Okay.
Yeah. Questions? You
no.
have controls, by the way? Alright. I know we weren't paying attention to that, but that required a lot less power than a normal approach. That was about, 15, or not 15, near the end, it was near 18 and all that. So tell you what, pick up in a hover, we'll go over the end there, we'll check to see what they're doing, and then we'll take off. We could probably take off
28.
I'll also figure out what it's doing here in a second.
Alright.
But pick up, go to the end there, don't cross into the runway, hold short for a second,
Okay.
we'll figure out what we want to do.
Coming up.
Alright, traffic helicopter 522 off golf, sound to approach end to 20, staying north of 28 Penn Roads. We'll do a shallow approach or running landing onto that taxiway next to 28. I'll kind of steer you to it, but we'll just do a normal takeoff 28 here. Okay. Let's keep going forward to make sure no one's around. So again, you're managing risk. You're making sure you got trees blocking your way. You don't know if someone might be trying to take off with a tailwind. Ridge traffic, helicopter 522 Alpha Golf taking off 28 midfield to right close, Ridge. Alright, normal takeoff. Alright, not terrible. Might have popped up just a little bit more than we needed. And hold that collective up. Remember, it's about an inch under MCP, so you should be at 21. Really, 22 is where you really want to be, but 21 will work, but definitely not 19. You want to climb at about 55, if we're staying in the pattern here. We are. About 300 to speed, we'll make that right turn.
Alright.
Good, better. I like how you're purposely not pulling back on that cycling necessarily, but you do need to keep your collective in. Little left pedal, a little point this way a little more. Remember, wind's kind of coming from over there, right? So now it's pushing you that way. Think through how you want to, just like how a car would be dragging a rectangle. Same thing, you want to have a rectangular pattern. Make that right turn.
Okay, making a right turn.
Road.
Don't push forward. You see how that horizon got away?
And traffic helicopter 743 Bravo taking off.
Hold that.
Traffic Bravo taking off runway 28 from midfield for, again, right close pattern.
So, should probably be a little closer, you're downwind.
Okay.
Could be over there somewhere. So why don't you correct it? Go make a right turn. Now, Ridge traffic, helicopter 522 Alpha Golf's right downwind 28 Aaron Roads.
Left.
Alright, tell you what, I've got the controls.
You have the controls.
Let me just show you where I want it.
Okay.
Somewhere around here. Alright, you got the controls?
Controls.
Alright. Head that way, you're beam your spot, you're lowering, that's fine. This is this descent spot. You don't have to lower it anymore. You're only got 15 inches. So this is fine. A little bit of right pedal.
Okay.
Alright, Andrew, traffic helicopter 70 Bravo.
Make that right turn. At Ridge traffic, helicopter 2 Alpha Golf's right base, 28 Air Roads. That way. We're gonna land on this taxiway here, alright?
Okay.
And raise traffic, helicopter 522 Alpha Golf's final parallel 28 will be landing on the taxiway parallel 28 and roads. Good. So if we were gonna land basically maybe 200 meters this way of the windsock, only on the taxiway. This is fine, but keep slowing us down. You're fine.
Final right, 28 Bovey, landing on the approach end of runway 20 at the run up. Staying north of 28 at all times.
Hold your left. There we go. This is fine.
14 and Tango is on its final. On the RNAV runway 10, circle runway.
You're gonna have to hold your left a little more. You want to be on this runway. There we go. Good. Fine. You can bleed off some airspeed. Alright, now we're gonna, basically it looks like you're gonna be, yeah, this will be fine. Looks like you'll hit the 1, 2, 3, 4th blue light. This is fine. Raise, I'd like to push it forward a little bit. I'm not pushing forward to speed up, I'm pushing forward to level the helicopter. Alright. Forward, level, lower the collective. I'm helping you out here. Good. Don't push forward or back when we're on the ground. That's got nothing to do with it. It's this. We were kind of sliding that way, so I helped you out by putting this way. Some of the pedals were a little slow. You gotta kind of do this.
Yeah.
And this was pretty good, but maybe a little kind of sooner. Lower that collective. This is what's stopping you. It's not this. It's not any of this. Just gotta make sure all of this is straight.
Okay.
It's your collective being all the way to the ground that's going to slow you down. That's going to stop our roll. All right, you got the controls.
Okay.
Let's air taxi to the end there, all the way to the end.
Okay.
You're next to the trees.
All right, pick it up.
I'll do the radio call, so don't worry about it.
Okay.
Remember, it's a pretty long way, so that means you're probably going to be your full, whatever, 45-ish knots, and dump to hangar heights. Get to that guy's hangar. Not bad. Have it forward. There we go, good. Remember, like a football arc, so we're going to climb up. That's fine. That's kind of what you want. Perfect. En route traffic, helicopter 2 Alpha Golf, crossing 220 at the taxiway en route.
Hampton Roads, that's 35 Golf, turning final for runway 28, Hampton Roads.
Alright, there you go.
Hampton Roads, 604 Tango Tango is on a 2.5 mile final, RNAV 10, circle to the south for runway 28, Hampton Roads.
Good job. Yeah. Let's start lowering that collective. Probably would have done so maybe 20 seconds ago. There you go. Good. Aim for that rev area in that rectangular area. Hold it forward. Try not to wiggle the stick. Think of it as more of a pressure game. Trying to put pressure into the stick as opposed to doing a whole lot of wiggling.
Yeah, I caught myself lifting my arm off the...
Alright. Catching it. That's good. Pretty good. Alright. Why don't we we'll sit down here and we'll talk about our next thing, which is going to be a max performance takeoff.
Breaking up the approach for runway 2, or correction, runway 10, circle to the south for runway 28, Hampton Roads.
Alright. Now you wanted to do a little bit of running landing practice. Good. Alright. So the next thing we're going to talk about...
runway 2.
Well, you'll notice we did our normal approach. We were pulling about 21, 22 inches if you would have done it normally. The running takeoff and the running approach, or running landing, and you basically needed that for, in fact, you needed more than that when you did your normal landing at the end. At the beginning, you know, during the actual approach, you don't need a lot of manifold pressure at all because you're descending. But at the end, you got to pull in a lot. To first stop it, it's probably about 23 inches, and then it settles out about 22 inches to hover. So that's how a normal approach is. During your shallow approach, I don't know if you were really watching there. You shouldn't be. You should be looking up there. It basically tapered out about 20 inches, 21 inches maybe, but it definitely didn't need 24 inches. So again, that's demonstrating that less power is required for those things. But again, I think we've both demonstrated the reason why we don't always do that is because why do I want to be scraping along the ground?
Right.
I don't want to. And the other thing is, there's kind of that weird spot where, like, how do I slow down when I'm already this close to the ground? You really can't. You just gotta either choose to go back up or whatever. So again, that's one of the reasons why we don't do shallow approaches to running landings all the time. Now we're gonna demonstrate high power settings. We're gonna, back there, we're gonna do a steep approach, but here we're gonna do a high performance takeoff, and it's purposely called a high performance takeoff because we're using all our performance to do kind of a vertical takeoff. Now we're gonna imagine there's trees, let's say that red kind of tallish middle tree there.
Yep.
That's where that tree, let's just imagine, is like 15 feet high. We're gonna clear that tree. Now that said, from here to there is still kind of free, so I'm not going to try and go completely vertical. I'm going to try and get as much forward airspeed as possible because that's helping me climb. The other thing is wind is helping me climb, so I got to make sure my nose is still this way. I'm not letting it wander all that way because I need every inch of power to clear that tree to go up. You're going to realize we're going to pull to that 5-minute takeoff, no more. Grade. So we're probably even allowed more. Let's just say 23, 24 is going to be our 5-minute takeoff, okay? We're not going to pull more than that. Right. That's kind of the big, I'm not going to say it's the only hazard, but it's one of the hazards here. We're going to over pull. Eventually, full throttle light's going to come on, low RPMs. That's the terrible spot for low RPM to occur, right?
Right.
So I'm still going up, like, So, to mitigate getting anywhere close to that, we're not going to just pull us to our heart's content. We're pulling up to maybe about 23 inches, 22 inches, and then that thing, manifold pressure, is eventually going to catch up to about 24 inches. We're going to pull what we need, but we're going to purposely not keep pulling. One thing I want to demonstrate, I've got the controls.
Yep, controls.
So I already talked about a few things that we're going to use to kind of like stack the deck in our favor. 1, wind. 2, a little bit of forward airspeed, as much as we can based on this confined area. But 3, the other thing is we're using ground effect to kind of help us up. We need to be down here-ish to kind of get that extra oomph. Because if we didn't have that, let's just say I started my climb from here.
Yeah,
You'll notice I'm 22 inches. Yeah, I think you already know where I'm going with this.
Yeah.
Like, if I'm going to say I can't pull in 24, look how slow that is. It's like, I can't really, today's actually a cool day, but if it was hotter and we were a little heavier, it would basically peter out. I wouldn't be able to climb anymore, and it's just like, you know? So, you kind of want to use a little bit of that ground effect. If I were starting from here, I'm kind of going to dip down and kind of firmly kind of bring it up, and, you know, making sure I'm not going to overpull that, and I've got a little bit forward, cleared my area, now I can push to about 55. So it's something a little bit like that. Alright, so we're going to have you do that on the controls, and I'll be with you. Again, the idea is try to make everything smooth, all in one direction. You want to start from the ground or from the hover?
Start from the ground.
Okay.
That kind of practice.
Kind of the key here is, if you're starting from the ground, you want to make, I still have the controls, let me just demonstrate. I'm pulling up, and I'm going straight into that thing, okay? But I'm not over pulling. Alright, you got the controls.
Okay. And I'm not going into a hover or anything first. I'm just.
No, you're not, because you don't have, because it's a max performance takeoff, you want all your energy not to go into a hover. You want to go straight up into that. Alright. Hold on a second.
Okay. Ready?
Yep.
Okay.
En route traffic, helicopter 522 Alpha Golf, taking off, departure end at 28 for right close en routes. I'm helping you out by kind of making sure we're kind of straight there. We kind of weren't. A little more vertical. Alright, now you're clear your obstacle. Alright, double check over your shoulder, make sure no one's way back there. No one's. Alright, cross over to the right. En route traffic, helicopter 2 Alpha Golf, right crosswind, 28 en routes. I'm pulling back on you. That way we can climb. There we go. Aim for maybe that third antenna there.
Engine row, it says a 35 Golf, turning left crosswind, left downwind, excuse me, runway 28.
Hold that for you there.
Yeah.
Good.
Airspeed's low.
It's alright because we're kind of in a weird spot. Kind of the reason for that is you weren't quite trimmed up. You were kind of like that. The airspeed indicator was a little wrong.
Yeah.
Because you were not. Alright. Go ahead and make that right turn.
Okay. Right turn.
Hold that collective in. Good. Yeah. Oh, it would have. Yeah. That way a little more. Good. Alright, now we're going to do a steep approach. And again, for there, we're going to actually land in there. We've landed there before, right? We've done a steep approach?
Yeah.
So, kind of treat everything normal. You're just going to catch a different angle on your final. Your downwind's the same, your base is the same, everything's the same. You're going to almost treat it like a normal approach up until like the end, where you're just going to hold your altitude a little longer, and then find that steep approach angle, which should be a little closer to this.
Okay.
Alright, good.
Go ahead and turn for the base.
Okay. So the hazard for this steep approach is sound with power. We don't want to have too high a descent rate when we're too slow, because we don't want to be in our own vortices. So when you're less than 30, which is under ETL, or roughly when you're leaving ETL, you want to be less than 300 feet per minute descent rate. Alright, pull that back, lower that collective, stay calm with that.
Alright.
Alright, let's just aim for the blacktop to make it a little easier.
Road, Cessna 362, 8 miles northwest of the field. Gonna be at 3,500 feet, gonna be sent down to 25 mega.
Imagine the wind, look where the wind is, so it's gonna be kind of aiming that way to the blacktop over there. Look, I'm gonna point you to where I want to be. This is where the wind is. So hold that. En route traffic, I got 2 Alpha Golfs, hold. Landing at the approach on a 20 en route. Right pedal, lowering that collective for you. Looks like it's going to be that arrow. Aim for that arrow. Okay, being robotic with its controls. Smooth. Pressure on the controls, not Alright. Probably wasn't as steep as we needed it to be, but that's fine. I wanted the takeaway there being, look how much power we're pulling.
Yeah.
You know, as opposed to our normal approaches, we never had to pull 23 inches. We just pulled like 22. Alright, I've got the controls.
You have the controls.
I want to demonstrate an even steeper. So if I were even going steeper, in fact, you could already see I'm already pulling like 20 inches.
Yeah.
So if I'm trying to land there, you can feel me on the control, so I'm not. Well, I guess winds are kind of helping out. But this is definitely steeper than I was, right? Or than a normal approach, which is fine. I'm aiming for that first arrow. If you'll notice, it takes a little more power to kind of maintain this, and wind's kind of keeping me up here, but that's fine. If anything, that should be confidence inspiring to point out the fact that there's no reason you need to have a 500-foot descent rate, even on a steep approach. If you have enough power, I'm pulling 20 inches, I know I could pull 23, 24 inches. There's no wind anymore. And there we go. Alright, so tell you what, we'll do one more max performance takeoff, and then we'll, I think we'll call it. I think that might have hit task saturation here. You want to be on the ground or you want hover?
Let's do the hover.
Alright, you got the controls.
And controls.
Hold it here for a second. So we're going to focus on making it a little better than your last one, alright? So right now, wind is kind of coming from there. So just kind of keep that. But, you know, be prepared to move it if the turn strings are obviously that way. It's like, well, I guess the winds are kind of over there. Try to make it kind of almost vertical. In fact, I've got the control for one quick second.
Give controls.
Let's assume the trees are right there at the grass.
Okay.
You've got the controls?
Controls.
Let's assume the trees are the grass, so you don't have the luxury of being able to move forward that much. Alright. So why don't we lower the collective a little bit. Now raise. Good. Hold. There we go. Clear the trees. Now push forward. Oh man, I couldn't have asked for a more perfect one. A little bit of right pedal. That transition though, make sure your nose is straight. There we go. That was pretty good. We'll just circle around to the right. Okay. Go ahead and do that because I don't know what's going on 28 right now. Great job. Alright, everything we do makes sense today?
Yeah, the running landing kind of scares me a little bit.
It's supposed to. That's, again, if nothing else, let that be an example. Like, why aren't we? That's the reason we don't do shallow approaches and running landings every day. There's no reason to.
Am I entering the pattern here?
Eventually. So we'll make a right turn. And right traffic. Look after 522 Alpha Golf, right downwind, 28 Hammer. Yeah, and it's supposed to. You're not supposed to be anywhere near the ground. But one of the takeaways is it was uneventful in the sense that nothing broke. Right. If you had a controlled descent, now that could have gone way worse if you're just kind of just manhandling into the ground, or if you were still maintaining your like 70 knots and you're still an inch off the ground, that's not a great idea, because that's a really long thing. You could make it as slow as possible. In fact, let's make this last one, this will be a shallow approach and landing. I'll be with you on the controls. We're going to land basically the same spot on that taxiway again.
Okay.
I'll show you, like, it can be as slow as possible. And we're in traffic helicopter 2 Alpha Golf, right base 28 air roads. Let's go that way for just a little bit, so we can extend it and make it a little shallower. Lower that collective. There you go. I'm going to be with you on the controls, so don't stress out. I think you understand the angle aspect. You understand the shallow approach, a steep approach, and a normal approach. The running landing, you can think of as almost a secondary maneuver, because if that's what's freaking you out, well, just focus on the shallow approach aspect first. Alright, make that right turn. Alright, traffic helicopter 522 Alpha Golf, final 28. We're going to land parallel 28 at the taxiway, parallel 28 air roads. So probably go that way just a little bit. There we go. Good. Now, the other reason we don't normally do this is, look at all this risk we're accepting right now.
Yeah.
Like, if our engine were to go out, it's like, we're fucked. There we go. Good. So, you could lower that collective a little bit, keep us shallow, and because there's no more trees between us. Now, you're doing it perfect. Because of the fact that you're slowing down, you can slow down as much as you want out here. Now, if we were really power limited, you would have to maintain a little bit of airspeed, but for the most part, this is fine. Look how slow this is. Alright, start pushing forward just to get us to the asphalt. Ideally, you always want to do like a running landing on actual ground, because you don't want to get caught on the grass, but you know, pretty sure we could probably reasonably do grass lungs here, but alright, look how, this is way slower than our last one. This is good. Let this be a demonstration. Hold left a little bit. Good. Perfect. Now level the helicopter, push it forward some more. There we go.
My pedal.
Yeah, it was the pedal.
Yeah.
That one, it could have been just slightly more level by pushing forward at the last. The reason people are hesitant to do that forward, because they're equating forward with airspeed. Well, at that point, you're not gaining any more airspeed. You're just leveling the helicopter. That's what you want to do.
Okay.
You're better off with the skids, with your skis landing level rather than like that. Because you see, you could already see what I would do. Like if it in an extremer angle, one, your tail's gonna hit. But even if it didn't, it's the whole bang. Yeah. That's like 2 impacts now.
Yeah.
Whereas if you're level, that's just 1 impact and it's
Okay.
but yeah, you already caught what you did here.
Yeah.
That was a pedal thing. But that was pretty smooth. Alright, let's pick up. Let's do an air taxi back towards the ramp there. We'll figure out how we want to get back in there.
Alright.
Yeah, good job.
Okay. Get up.
Captain Road, Cessna 3626 Victor, clear off runway 28 on Charlie. Hampton Road, Cessna 35 Golf, turning main legs, runway 28, Hampton Road.
Oh, yeah, that was not.
Alright, you've done worse, but you definitely done better. Alright, so what you're doing right now is a technique, but again, you're accepting risk with the fact that if our engine were to go out, your skids are going to catch and you're going to flip over. So when you have mastery of this helicopter, you're going to take that crosswind with a little bit of, you're going to fight it with your cyclic, not with your, I'll tell you what, I'll show you. I've got the controls.
Okay.
You're not doing anything wrong, I'm just kind of want to demonstrate. I'm holding my left cyclic to keep us here. what you're doing is might be okay here, but the risk you're you're weighing which risk you're willing to accept. Here, I'm accepting risk by potentially hitting the ground, doing all sorts of things. In the eyes of most pilots, this is probably more risk than this.
Okay.
Because you're already under control of this. You know where the wind is, and if my skids catch on something, well, I'm a little safer than if my skids catch something like this.
Got it.
Which is more likely because I'm not paying attention. That's already a viewpoint that I don't see.
Yeah. Okay.
Whereas this way is a little different. The other way to mitigate this is, well, let me just take up and get some airspeed. Air traffic lab, 2 Alpha Golf, crossing 220. You see how it's just like,
Yeah, no.
since I knew I had that space, I may as well just go a little faster, and that way I don't even have to fight the wind. You want me to give you the controls back? You got the controls, unless you don't want to.
I got them.
Got them.
Where are we going to?
We're gonna head back. So one way to mitigate this risk, why don't you just keep your airspeed forward a little bit, almost kind of fly, make it a mini air taxi, fly forward, follow this yellow line. See how this is a little easier than trying to do this hover taxi in little micro turns. Get what I'm saying? As far as mitigating all that.
Right, a little bit.
Good idea. And yeah, maybe here I'm just gonna land, maybe I'll just face this way, that way I don't have to worry about it getting wobbly. You know?
Yeah.
Hold it forward a little bit.
After all, traffic, Columbia 717 Charlie Whiskey is entering a left downwind for runway 28. Against the road.
Yeah, and rather than doing all sorts of weird pedal turns, I'm just gonna face this way, you know? Go in and set down anywhere here.
Come on.
There you go.
That always
I've seen worse.
feels. Okay.
I'll tell you what, I've got the controls.
Give controls.
Yeah. You could have held it off a little longer and that would have made it a little smoother, but
Yeah.
Yes, sir, I got you.
I get what you're trying to do.